Using for loops, first try to get from 200 to 10 and later use a break and stop it at 197. I think it's clear. Is it clear, the question? Just like what you are using to display the first 10 natural numbers, for loop which we're using to display the first 10 natural numbers, just think instead of ascending to do it descending, what should be done? That's it. So this is the skeleton wherein you want to put something inside a for loop, the conditions to count the number, and later the number will be counted and displayed, and later you'll use a if statement wherein you have to put the condition and that condition will need to break, and later that's it. You'll return and you'll have the this thing typed. So firstly, in order to type or get the number in the decreasing order, what is the initialization condition is? So firstly, I want to initialize the number to 0. And later, I'll be having the condition wherein the number should be greater than or equal to 10. In that case only the number will be typed. As this is descending, I'm supposed to use num minus minus. And later I'll be having the C out of numbers. If I just execute this program, I'll be getting the numbers from 100 to 10. But what is my condition? I don't want the numbers from 200 to 10. So what I'm supposed to do, if number is equal to 197, so I want to break it out and come out of the loop.
Ma'am, I have pasted in chat box.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So when you run this code, so where have I used where? Okay. So I'll be getting the numbers 200, 199, 198 and 197. Is this clear? So if I want to move till another number, say something like 194, I'll be getting the 194. So what was the reason I used while loop and for loop here is, so as I had mentioned you before, any conditions can be executed using any of the loop. That is your for loop or your if else statements or your while loop or do while loop or anything for that matter. Only the changes will be with respect to the syntax. That's it. I think this much is clear. Can we move ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone has any doubts?
No, ma'am.
No doubts. Okay. So next, after break, what was the next statement what we had? What was the topic we studied yesterday? I taught you something called references, if you remember. So did you people understand this topic, or you want me to repeat this? Did you understand? As there was a lot of disturbance in yesterday's class, did you?
Repeat once, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So the next topic what we are having is references and pointers. So references and pointers are the two unique features of the C++ which aren't present in your Java or Python or other higher end languages. So what is this references? It is nothing but you are referring, let me take an example of two variables. So I'm having a variable A and I'm having a variable B. So what am I doing? I'm referring variable B to variable A. So that is known as reference. So there will be two variables. One will be an existing variable and another one will be a new variable, and I'll be referring one variable to another. So in order to refer this one variable to another, I'll be using AND operator. So this is the symbol which I'll be using in order to refer the one variable to another existing variable. So let me just give you an example. And one more thing which you need to take care of this is, so both should be of same this thing. So if A is an integer, B should be also an integer. If B is a string, A should be also a string. So if A is an integer and B is a string, then the references doesn't work. Understood? So that is one condition which you need to remember while doing the references. The first thing, it should be of same data type, and the second thing, so it should be of same data type, and the symbol what you use is AND. So let me take an example of a string which is known as food. And what is the food? So let me take as it is some 5-star chocolate is your food right now. So later what happens is, I have another string which I refer it as a meal, and I'll be pushing this food into meal. Understood? So I told you I want to use this symbol and symbol or and operator while referring to these things. So what is my reference here? Food basically I have. So I'm pushing food towards me. So what am I doing? I'll be using and over here. Understood? So in the next condition, if I want to like type the output, let me take it as C out, and if I try to print food, what will be my output in food? Any guesses?
5-star.
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 Let me take it as meal. Then what is my output in a meal? What will be my output in the meal? What am I basically doing? I'm referring, the food is 5-star. So the value, the variable food will be holding the value 5-star. But what am I doing? I'm referring this food to meal. So basically what is happening is, the value which is there in the food will be stored in the meal as well. So in this condition, if I want to run, both will be 5-star because I'm pushing the value of the food to meal. That is, I'm referring the value of the food to meal. So I'll be getting 5-star in both the conditions. So this is the very basic thing which you need to understand. Is this clear, people?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So next we'll be going to a next condition. It is known as memory address. Please go on mute now. What do you mean by memory address firstly? So let's understand what is memory address. Then let's see how to fetch this memory address. So do people know what is memory address? So basically, let me take an example. I have you're able to see this whiteboard, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So these are my memory locations, and
Yes, ma'am.
okay, these are my memory locations, and I'm having something like variable A, variable B. So don't mind on these things, okay? So I want to push this A to the first memory location, and let me take this example as I have 6 boxes. So this is box number 1, 2 up to 6. I'm having 6 boxes. And I'm having 6 variables A, B, C, D, E, and F, wherein I want to send A to box number 1, B to box number 2, and C to box number 3, and so on up to 6. Okay. So what happens in the system? You'll be having certain memory locations in the system, and they will be represented by hexadecimal value. So they'll be represented using hexadecimal value. For example, this will be something like, do you know this things 000 up to FFFFF, all those terms, do you know? The hexadecimal notations?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So there will be some hexadecimal notation to box 1 up to box 6, and A will be pushed to this, B will be pushed to this. So basically what happens, those hexadecimal are known as the address of this box. So it's just like your door number what we get. So if you people are staying in some house and you notice that every house will be having a door number, right? In the same way, every memory will be having an address which is known as memory address, and the particular variable will be stored in that memory address. We can fetch that memory address where A is stored or where B is stored, and so on. So those are the basically the memory addresses, and they are represented by a hexadecimal value. So clear with this? So now I want to fetch the memory address of the particular food or the meal, whatever it is. So what I do here is, so if I put a ampersand here, so firstly, I want to see output. In first condition, I was giving only food. In second condition, what am I doing? I am locating into address of food. So if I run this now, so I got the memory location. So this is the memory location wherein the food is stored. So instead of A, if I take it as food, the food is stored in box number 1, and the memory location of that box is given by not 1, this particular number. Understood this much? So how to fetch the data, how to fetch the memory locations. So these are the important factors which you need to remember with respect to references. The first one is how to do the references, the notation, and the second one is how to fetch the memory address. If you people can quickly copy down this, it would be helpful for you. So take down the references and what is the references, and write these terms in a way you can understand. So both the variables A and B should be of same data types. Just let me know once you're done. Clear with this concept, people's reference? Because like as we move forward from this point, things will be confusing. So you need to remember each and everything. Later you'll be like, it will be mixed up, everything. So be attentive and do listen. Done? Okay. So let's move to the next topic, that is pointers. So what do you mean by pointers? Firstly, so pointer is nothing but it is also a variable. Like what all the variables what we have, even pointer is also a variable. So pointer is also a variable which stores the memory address of particular. So even the pointer is also a variable, but what it is doing, it is storing the memory address. So this is not add. Memory address has its value. So here we could fetch the, if you remember, we could fetch the memory address. That is, food is in this particular memory address. Here what happens is the pointer variable will be storing this memory address. Here we are just displaying the memory address. Here the pointer variable will be storing this particular memory address. And here we were using AND symbol in order to define the references. In the same way, in pointers, we will be using asterisk. Now, these are the basic points you need to remember. Firstly, what is pointer? Pointer is a variable. And what is the job of the pointer? It stores the memory address of its value, and it is denoted by asterisk symbol. So, the very basic thing you need to remember. So, what is the difference between here, the references and the pointers? Here we are trying to display the address of the particular memory location, but here what we are doing, we are storing the memory address of the particular variable. This is the major difference and things you need to remember. So let's move to the example and see how it works. So let me take the same example, string food, but let me change the food this time. So Milky Bar, something like this, and I told you, even in the pointer, the data type should be of same type. So even I should use string here. So what I will be doing, string, and I'll be denoting some pointer. For right now, I'll be using the pointer as pointer only. And what I should do, I should store the memory address. So in order to get the address, I'll be writing as. So what is happening here? A pointer variable with the name pointer will be storing the address of the food. So will this store the address of the food? Or is there any mistake or whatever it may be? Does this work good or not?
Star PTR.
Yes?
It will work,
Star
ma'am.
PTR.
No, it will not work. So why? Because
Star PTR.
yes, I haven't pointed only. Pointe ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ನಾನು. ಇಲ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ? First ನಾನು refer ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. Using ampersand symbol and mean, I'm referring. But what is happening here? I'm not pointing only. I'm just writing. This becomes another string. That's it. String food like Milky Bar. This becomes another string, and that will also give me an error because I don't have mentioned them in quotes also. So what I should do here? I should add the asterisk symbol. So this will work. Understood? Understood, or any doubts over here? Did I comment out in the beginning? Okay. But this will work. So let me try to print the output. So firstly, I need you people to tell the output. So firstly, if I print food here, what is the output which I get? Quick. So for food, what is the output?
Milky bar.
Exactly. So for food, I'll be getting the output has Milky Bar. So, so if I take 1% of food, so what is the output what I get?
Address hexadecimal value.
Hexadecimal value. Exactly. So next, I'm just trying to find the difference between these things. So now I have pointer. So don't get confused here. This is just a pointer name. What I'm using has a pointer. You can use whatever you want. So what comes here? So I want a pointer. I'm trying to print out a pointer. So what is my output here?
Address of Milky Way.
Yes, exactly. The address of the variable. So what is the variable? Food. So I'll be getting the address of the variable because the pointer is basically storing the address of the variable. Right? So why I'm getting the same thing in both the cases? Because both the things are the same. Because address of the food is same and I'm referring the same to the pointer. So the address of the food and the pointer will be holding the same value. Is this clear? Or any doubts over here? No?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next, let's make it a bit more confusing. So what is my output here? So firstly in food you are getting Milky Bar, fine, no issues. And in ampersand food you are getting the address, fine, that is also not an issue. And later in pointer you are getting the address of the pointer, not an issue. So now what is the output for the fourth condition?
Milky bar.
Milky Bar.
Milky Bar. Why? Why is it Milky Bar?
Pointing towards the variable.
Yes. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Pointer is now pointing to the variable, not
So
its
the
address.
pointer is not pointing the variable. So is that the answer?
Not pointing to address.
Okay, pointer is not pointing to the address. In the fourth condition, I don't know who said this, but he is telling the pointer is not pointing to the address, and that's the reason we are getting this as the output. So, firstly, Milky Bar is correct. So when I run this, I'll be getting Milky Bar. That's fine. But let's see here. So what is star pointer? So is star pointer the address of the particular location? So like one, how one is here. So what I'm getting in star pointer is the address. I'm trying to print what is there inside the address, box one. So I'm telling box number one, door number one. And I'm trying to fetch what's inside box number one. That is A. The same thing happens here. So I'm giving the address of the particular variable, and hence what am I getting? What is inside the address of the particular variable? I'm getting that particular data, and that's the reason I'm getting Milky Bar over here. Clear? Clear, or do people have any doubts? Okay. So the next topic what we are going to do is the modification of the pointer variable. So what do you mean by this modification of the pointer variable? So we saw in strings and also in array. What were we doing if I had a string? If you remember, I had given you the example of fox and box, wherein we were replacing b by f or f by b, vice versa. And even in arrays, I have the particular value from 1 to n. I could take if it was a number and an array. So 5 could have been replaced by any A, B, C value. Do people remember these two things? In string, I used to replace things, and in array, I used to replace things. Replace the particular index value to another value. In the same way, you can also have modification with respect to the pointer variable also. So I can modify the pointer variable. That is a good thing. Okay, it is flexible or whatever. I can have the flexibility in the program or the code, and those things good. But in order to what modify the pointer variable, what should be replaced? So if we here, what am I doing? So I'm taking the number, the index value of the particular thing, and I'm replacing it by 1, 2, 3 or something like that. So here I'm having food, I'm having start pointer, I'm having address of the food, and I'm having in the variable with respect to the string, that is Milky Bar. So what am I supposed to replace over here firstly? So in the way I'm using this, so what am I supposed to use? The variable, what am I supposed to use in order to replace the pointer or modify the pointer? No clue? So let me give it for you. It is the start pointer. So let me replace this Milky Bar by, so what are the chocolates you have? I don't remember also. Tell me something more. Dairy milk. So I'll be replacing the pointer by dairy milk, and let me check two conditions, that is before and after. Okay, so firstly, what am I having? This is the normal program what I have. I'll be having a food, Milky Bar, etc. and I'm typing all those stuffs. So that is clear for you. But once I'm typing that, in order to show the difference, what am I doing? I'm replacing the pointer by dairy milk. So I don't like Milky Bar, and I now like dairy milk. So I'm just replacing it, and I'll try to run this code. So I'm getting Milky Bar in the first condition, and in the second thing, I'm getting dairy milk. Is that clear? This is how you modify the pointer variable, or you replace the pointer variable with whatever you want. Is this clear? I'm pushing this particular variable to the address of the pointer and replacing it. Simple. Any doubts in this, guys? So please take.
No.
Okay, please make a note of these things so that we can move ahead. Done? Just write it in such a way that you can understand. Else, when you just open the book after a week, everything will be like Greek and Latin. You'll never know what is pointing what is doing what. So, write in such a way that you can understand when you read it after a week or 2 weeks. Finish?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can we move to the next topic?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the next topic is functions. So let me first try to tell you why do we need this function? What is the use of these functions? So firstly, you need to know why we need all these things. So let me say you have a program of maybe 500 to 800 lines code you have, and you have a particular block of code which is repeated for every 100 lines of program. That is, let me say you have a program of 600 lines, and for every 100 lines, a block of code which is ABC is repeated. It is repeated. So I have a 600 line code, and for every 100 lines of code, the block ABC is repeated. So what I should do, I should type the block code of ABC after the first 100, the second 100, the third 100, 400, 500, and 600 respectively. So basically, I'm writing the code ABC how many times? I'm writing it 6 times, right? So what's happening here? Firstly, the number of lines in the code is increasing. So for every 100 line, if I have 10 line code which should be written, so I'll be having 60 lines of code which is extra, and it will take more time for execution, and the chances of error are more. So they came up with a solution wherein we write the program or the code block once. So the code block what I'm using here is ABC. So this will be written only once, and called whenever required. So what I do, I'll be telling a person, instead of someone coming and standing in front of me for 6 long hours, I'll tell him, you please be there. I'll call you whenever required. It is the same thing what happens. So I'll be having a code block ABC. So what I'll do here, this will be written only once, and I'll call the same code block of function to be executed whenever it is required. Did you understand this? The basic concept of why functions we need, or you have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so let me just give you an example for a better understanding. So here, after the what I'll be using here is, firstly, this will be used, this void. Okay, let me type and just show. So let me call my function as my function only. So there's something function that I'm calling, and what is happening here? I want a C out wherein okay. So here I want a C out. It's just a very simple example. So let me say, oh, code is executed. So just to know whether the code what we have given is executed or not, and we tell it the code is executed. Okay. So this is my main function, what I want. So where this function should be placed is before your int main what you use. Understood? So after you include your IO stream and use namespace std, later after this you should have, let me cut it this from here. Okay. So after using include IOStream and include namespace std, you should be having this void function, which is the main part of the function. In function, you'll be having two parts. So the first one is the main function, and the second one is the function which you will be calling. And this is the function wherein you will be calling the function. So here I have void my function, the code is executed. So here I have int main, and I call the main function to execute. So what is my main function? It is my function. So what is the output which I should get here? What is the output of this particular program? What's the output? Okay. Did you people understand this or not?
Code is executed.
Code is executed. So because why I'll be getting that particular this thing? Because here I'm calling a function and this will jump back to my function and execute the code, whatever there is inside the code block. So the code is executed. So when you call in the my function, this block of code within the my function will be executed. And as this is your main program, and for example, from 85 to the starting line is 85 where you are calling my function, and you have a code somewhere in your 305th line wherein you want the same function to be called. So then you need not write all these C out and stuffs once again. You can just call my function to be executed and the my function will be executed. And one more thing you need to know about my function is, so as I told, this can be executed in 85th line as well as in 87th or 308 or any number of the code, any line of your code. So if I have to run this, I'll be getting the code is executed for 3 times. So basically what it is mentioning is, so the function can be called multiple times. So whatever the function you execute, the function can be called multiple times. And that is the main reason why we are using function here in order to call a particular function wherever in the code base I want. So I can call the function multiple number of times. Is this much clear? Please make a note of this. Yes. Please make a note of this.
Done, ma'am.
Done. Okay. So just remember that I have mentioned void here. Just notice this and remember this. I'll be telling the changes when we move ahead. Just keep in mind you have written void over here. So why void? Why not something else? And what happens when we write something else? Those things I'll explain. And here you'll be having, as I told you in function, you'll be having the two parts of the function. So the first one will be known as the main function. So this is your function declaration. So this is your function declaration, and this will be your main method. Okay. So this is your main method. Firstly, you'll be declaring the function, and later you'll be having your main method within which you'll be calling your function. So you just Remember these what can I say? Terminology so that it will be useful for you. Okay. So this is the next thing what we do in the function. That is how to call a function, and the function can be called multiple number of times. And so moving ahead, the next topic what we are having is parameters and arguments. So what are the parameters basically? What are parameters? So we have been using this term from the starting also. So what do you mean by this parameter? So I just told here I am having void main function. I am not declaring anything within this function. So can I declare something or can I not declare something? So if I want something to be declared within those brackets, so can I declare it or not? Yes or yes? Okay. I can declare the parameter within the function. So I can take it as parameter 1, parameter 2 and parameter 3. And later we can have the code to be executed. Understood? Oh, just a second, guys. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. So I can pass the parameter 1, 2, 3 up to any number of parameters which I want inside this main function. Understood this? Understood or not? So parameters are nothing but they are the variables inside the function. So I can call parameter as the variables inside function. So just write what you tell. So what is parameter? Variable inside the function. So what are you writing? So you have a function, you have a parameter inside this. This I'm telling you from the day one. If you just put your words, what you're telling into the code in the required syntax, that's it is the coding. You're done with your coding part. Make it a habit and the coding will be like very, very easy for you. Understood? So did you get what are the parameters?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Let's go with a simple example. Oh, so instead of passing parameter 1, parameter 2, parameter 3, I'll be passing some string. First, you should declare the data type and I'll be taking something as fname. Okay, so I want so what should be displayed here? So the code should be declared as fname. And I want it to be, okay, let it be fname. So when I call a function, so what happens if these are empty here? First condition. I'm not declaring anything. So here I have given the string as fname. I want the fname to be executed. But what is happening here? It is empty. Let's run and see what happens. So too few argument to function. Oh, I haven't given this. So what I was supposed to give. So when I'm just dealing with string, I want to give, I should include string. That works fine. Too few arguments to function. So why am I not getting the output? It's because I am not calling anything. So here I have the f name should be given, but what is happening? I'm not having any parameter inside my function which is int. So in order to not get the error, we have another condition. Let's see to it later. So as it is name, let me give it as something like ABC, DEF, GH. So this should work fine. So I'm having a string of names wherein I have given 3 string of names. So I'm giving f name, f name, f name. So why am I getting f name? What I was supposed to get? I was supposed to get ABC, DEF and GHI. But what am I getting? I'm getting f name. Why is that? Understood? So what I did, because I gave the string here itself, so I mentioned them in a double quote wherein it wasn't taking the name of the string. The string variable wasn't matching. Understood? So in order to get it in a different line, you can add a new line character over here. That's very easy. So if you just come up with the braces over here, that is the double quote over here, then what will be your output? Your output will be this f name in all the 3 terms. But I don't want that to happen. Why that happens? Because the name doesn't match. The string name what you have given f name and this doesn't match. So it will be taken as a different string. So I'll just declare the name and I want to go with the my function wherein I have called the names of the my function, that is A, B, C, D, F and G, H with a new line. I'll be getting them in a different line. Okay, understood? Yes or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
let me take an example wherein I have A, B, C and D, E, F and G, H, I, whatever I have. And for after every name, I want X, Y, and Z to be added. That is ABC, XYZ, DEF, XYZ, and GHL, XYZ. For example, it may be something like I add your names in the list wherein I have a F name, and later I want to tell that you are from a particular college or particular class. So you people are from NIIT, or I can say you're from 4th semester or second year, something like that I want to add, which is common for all the names. So in that case, what should I do and where should I add anything? So any idea about that? Where am I supposed to add those things? Or where am I supposed to, how can I display those things? So I can add it over here. So X, Y, Z, and later I'm having a new line and printing stuffs. So I'm having ABC XYZ, DEF XYZ, GHI XYZ. So firstly, what you need to remember in the function is the function declaration, what you should do, and the main method, what you should do. Okay. And secondly, what you should remember is you can call the function multiple number of times. And the third point, so when we have a certain declaration over here, and that can be called over here. And if you want to add, fourth point here is if you want to add a certain, what I can say, certain name or whatever the data you want to each and every string, then you can use this method. Clear with these 4 points? Or any confusion what you have?
No, ma'am.
Okay, just take down these things. Now try out a program wherein you call a function of certain integers of particular name and you display a certain integer. So firstly we were dealing with string in this case. Now take up integers and try to print 4 or 5 integers. The next program. Did you get the question? So instead of string, I want you people to come up with integer and display integer. So whoever is done can place their code in the chat box. If you have any doubts, feel free to ask. Done?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Mom?
Okay.
Are you people done with the code? Okay, try it out. Let's move to the next topic. So the next topic is known as, so here we have the parameter. So we have something called default parameter. Something called default parameter. So what do you mean by this term default? Like, I don't want anything in terms of coding or anything like that. In general English terms, what do you mean by default? So in general,
Constant,
yes,
something like constant or automatic.
constant or automatic. Okay. So let me try to give you an example. So Sunday is a holiday for you. So nobody needs to tell you that Sunday is a holiday. So by default, you know that Sunday is a holiday because it's a known fact that Sunday is a holiday. So you prerequisitely know that it is like this only. That is known as default. So here I have something known as default parameter. So let me take an example now. I don't want this to be added. I have a function wherein the function is fname and I have fname, all those stuffs I have, and I'm calling the function also. But what happens in one of my function, I don't have any name to be displayed. So I have, let me take, I have something from roll number let me take an example of your classes or something like that only. So I'll be having 60 people in my class, wherein who are all promoted from second sem to third sem. So let me make it better. First year to second year. So they are promoted from first year to second year. But what's happening, out of 60 students, only 50 of them are promoted, and least the 10 of them are not promoted. And what happens in the list? I don't have their name. So there will be blank space in the name. So in that condition, I don't want that to be a blank space or a error to pop up on. So what I want over there is, I want this person haven't passed to the detained or something like that. I want. By default, I want the value to be something like detained or not promoted or something like that. So what am I supposed to do in that condition? So I have a string, I have a f name, and for certain parameters, I don't have a name. But I want a particular default value to be popped in over there, wherein I get the count 60, and I also get the count of the default values and the roll numbers which are not promoted from first year to second year. In that condition, what can I do? So in that condition, I can directly declare whatever I want. So what I want is, not promoted. So that particular, if there is no name, what I want is, he is not promoted from second year to third year. So what I do in the initial function declaration only, while giving the f name, I take the default value as not promoted. So in turn, what happens is, when there is no name called or no function called, if the function called is empty in the main method, this default value what I have given in the function declaration will be popped into this function. So I have ABC, and the second one wherein I have not promoted, and the third one I have GH. Is this clear? These are known as default parameters, wherein the function is called without any value. Then what happens? By default, the default parameters what I have given will pop up in the variable, in the function wherein there are no parameter values are passed. This much is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Or you have any doubts over here? No? Shall we move? Okay. Just commenting, no, like the function is called multiple times, and what are parameters, what are default parameters. Please make a note of them in your notebooks so that it will be helpful for you in future. And next topic what we are having is known as multiple parameters. So multiple parameter. So whatever we are calling inside this is known as a parameter. That is, either it is your f name or whatever we call is known as your parameter. So multiple parameter means you're calling if you're calling more than one parameter within the function, then it is known as multiple parameter. So I have the name. Let me take out this default value. So basically, I'm giving f string has the name. So that is the name of the student. Let me take an example. And I have an integer wherein I have marks. So firstly, I have a string name. So particular subject or particular subject. In that particular subject, I'm be having the marks of the particular student. So what I do here is, I'll be taking firstly the f name, and later I'll be taking, I want the marks to be displayed. Let me take it this way. So this f name has scored this much of marks. So what is the mistake I have done here? I should add something. What's that? So this I want to be displayed as a string. So F name is matched, the variable is matched. So this F name, particular name of the student, has scored so this much of marks. And after everything, what do I want? I want it to go in a new line. Simple? Simple or not? Are people getting or not?
Getting, ma'am.
Okay. So next, what am I supposed to pass in the main function? Asking you people, what am I supposed to pass in the main function? So I have my function, I have the name over here, right? But what is happening? I'm having a multiple parameter, remember. So I'm having every parameter what I have here should be having a value in the main function. Whatever parameter you declare in the function declaration should have a value in the main method. So finally, I'm declaring f name over here. I'm having the name that is ABC, and here that is the default value. Let me add something, XYZ, something like that. And here I'm having only the name which is declared. What should I do with respect to the second parameter, which is the marks? Where am I supposed to declare the second parameter, that is the marks? So I can define it here only. So it is not a string. So I can put a comma. The variable is comma separated. So I can put something like if it is for 25, I can say the first one has scored 25, the second one has scored 5, and third one has scored something like 50. Here, so I have F name, has scored, and the marks, and new name. So ABC has scored 25, XYZ has scored 5. So someone has scored so something else. So I can give a gap here wherein you get a gap over there. And here also I can have a space so that this will be sorted. Understood this much? Wherein you pass multiple parameter and get a multiple parameter as the output. So for example, if I have, so I have someone who is absent for the test, and in that case, I want it to be absent or zero. Yeah, even I can take zero. Absent or zero, and here let me take as absent. So that particular person is absent if it is not there. And let me not pass anything over here. So we'll be having the default values over here. So the person is absent and the default marks will be 0. Understood this much? Wherein you have to pass parameters. Make a note down of this. Or you can even try it out quickly. Are you getting confused by the topics?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Make a note down of this. Let's move to the next one. Finish?
Yes, ma'am.
So the next topic what we are having is a very important topic in function. So what all we were studying till here are like the very simple things which you need to know, the basic stuffs I can say. And the next topic is the return value. So what do you mean by this return? Give it back, right? So what you'll be doing, I told you we have two functions. So the first one is the function declaration and the second one is the main method. So what we will be doing, we will be returning a value from here to here. So we'll be having a value which should be declared in the function declaration and I'll be returning that value to the main method. So that is known as return value. I told you to remember one thing when I started. What was that? What was that? So I told you to remember we have written void over here. So we have written void my function and the function goes on. So when I come here, I'll be writing it as int my function. Right? I'll be taking an integer x. So firstly, let us try to figure out the difference between this void and int. Why I had used void and why I had used int. So basically when I use void, I cannot return any value. So returning a value is not possible when you use void. So was I returning any value over here? Just I was having a function, the parameter of the function passed, I was printing something, here I was passing the variables, I was getting the output. As simple as that. And I wasn't returning anything from the main function to the function declaration. Nothing. I was just calling the function and the things were getting executed. I wasn't passing the value or returning the value from function declaration to the main method. In that case, when you need not to return the value from function declaration to the main method, you'll be using the keyword known as what, wherein there is no exchange or return of functions variables between these two things. But when you want to return a particular value, then you cannot use void, and here I'm using int. Understood this much? So let me take an example of I want to return a value wherein I have x, so I want 5 plus x to be returned. So I'll be declaring in function, the integer given is the x, that is x which is declared, and what I want to return, I want to return 5 plus 8. Simple. So next I'll come to the int main function where I want to print my function value. Will this work? First question. Will this work or not? My first question to you people is,
No, ma'am.
why don't it work?
Ma'am, we are not passing any parameter for function.
Exactly. So I'm not passing any parameter over here. So what I'm passing, I'm telling in the main function that I want x. Function declaration, I'm telling the variable is integer x, which should be added to 5 to get the return value. But in my function, when I'm calling a function, what am I doing? I'm not passing any parameter wherein the system doesn't know what is x. So what am I supposed to do? I can pass the parameter here. Let me take it as 3. Here, there is some mistake, I guess. So, okay. I'm not supposed to close this bracket here because I have started my function from here. Okay, why was that done? Because I haven't started the function from here. So I'm just declaring things here, and whatever I want, I'm closing the bracket here, I'm closing the bracket here. Okay. So the output value is 8. Is this clear? So what is it doing? It is returning the value. It is getting the variable that is 3 and adding it with 5 and returning the value that is 8. 5 plus x, that is 5 plus 3 will be returned. In this condition, we can't make use of void, and these are known as return value. And this is known as, basically, this is known as calling a function. So instead of return value, we are returning a value. And when we are just writing this function, we are telling that we are calling up a function for a particular code set to be executed. So basically, this is known as calling a function. Understood? Okay. Any doubts in this, people?
No doubts, ma'am.
Okay. Now go with a program wherein you take two integer as the input and return the value of those two integers. That is addition of, for example, if I having integer x and integer y, I want the return value to be x and y. Simple to do quickly. I want you to take two integers, that is integer x and integer y, and I want the return value to be x plus y. You can paste your code in the chat box. Okay. So Inshira has pasted the code wherein I have integer A, integer B. The return value is A and B. Yes, this works fine. No issues. Now I want a condition wherein you take a value Z or sum or something like that, A, B, C, or the value will be sum, and assign the value to Z and print that Z or sum. So now you are not taking any variable. Assignment is not done. You are just taking A and B and you are passing the values 2 and 3 and you are getting the output. That is C out. But in the second condition, I want you to assign the sum to a particular variable. So it may be a next integer Z or an integer sum or whatever for that matter. And pass the parameter and print that sum. Did you understand the question or you have any doubts? Instead of just declaring, I want you to assign the output of the two numbers to a particular variable and print that variable.
Pasted, ma'am.
Let me check. So, did you run this code? Who is this? Inshira.
Yes, ma'am.
You got the output?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Instead of doing this, to put it in a better way, you can do one more thing wherein you'll just return the, let me take an example, and you'll be having int y. So basically it is x plus y what I have. So I want to return the value of x and y. So here I'll be taking an integer z and then my cout will be my z value. Let me take it as min 6. So here I have an integer x and integer y. The return value should be x plus y only, that is by default. And I am having another integer z, wherein I am calling the function here in z and passing the value 3 and 6. And in turn, I want z to be true. So what is 3 plus 6? It's 9. Yes. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts still here?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. Can we move for the next topic? Shall we move to the next topic?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I have been telling you, okay, we are calling the function, we are calling the function, we are calling the function from the first, right from the topic when we started the function. I've been telling this. So we are calling the function. We are calling the function. In this calling, we have two types. So call by value and call by reference. So the first thing is call by value and the second thing is call by reference. Just make a note of this as I tell these. So call by value, you are just calling using value. In call by reference, you are using the address. So this is the major difference between your call by value and call by reference. So here, what are you using? You are using the value. Until the last example, what we saw, it is nothing but your call by value. So here you are having an integer x, wherein you are getting a value for the x. You are having an integer y, wherein you are getting the value of the y. Right. In the next condition, what I'll do is, so instead of taking x, I'll take the address of x. Instead of taking y, I'll take the address of y. And what I'll do here, I'll have x, y, z, which will go on. So you may ask me, oh ma'am, what is the need, ma'am? Like we were fine with x and y only. So what was the need to take the address in each term, that is address of x and address of y? What was the need to take? So let me show you over here. So as I already told you, call by value. So let me take an example of call by value. So I told you that there will be registers, right? So I'll be having a memory location that is 1 to 6, whatever it may be. And I'll be having A in the particular memory location, B in the particular memory location, C in the particular memory location, and so on. So what is happening here? I'm trying to fetch the value. So I'm trying to fetch A or B or C, and what happens? I'm not worried about the address. So what am I worried about? I'm worried about the particular variable A. I don't mention if it is present in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, whatever it may be present. I don't mention and I'm not bothered about it. So if it is 4 also, I'm very fine with it. If it is in 6 also, I'm very fine with it. If it is in 1 also, I'm very fine with it. What am I concerned about? I'm concerned about only the value which is present, that is A. So this happens in call by value. So I'll be concerned about the only the value which is value present. I'm concerned only about the value which is present and I'm not concerned about anything of it. So the address or whatever it may be, it will be taken care of it automatically. But in this condition, what am I doing? I'm putting it as ampersand. So I'm going to address of X and address of Y and fetching the particular values which are present in address of X and address of Y. So I'm going to particular one only. So I'm going to one and I'm taking the data which is present in one. I'm going to two, I'm taking the data which is present in two. I'm going to three, I'm taking the data which is present in three, and so on. Understood? So this is how call by value and call by reference differ. So in call by value, I'll be concerned only about the value which is present over there. And in I'll be concerned with the address of the particular value. These are the major difference between call by value and call by reference, which you need to know. Okay. And one more thing you'll be having that is known as inline declaration of the statements. So the first thing what you have is you'll be calling the object by call by value or call by reference. And the third thing what you'll be having is something called inline statements. You don't use this here, but know this for the better understanding. So what do you mean by the term inline? In simple terms, can I say it is within the line? In line, which is already present in the line. So here what is having, we are calling many functions and we are increasing the code number. But in inline statements, what happens is we'll be having a particular code within the particular line itself. We need not to write other codes like what we are writing now. So what is the difference between this inline code and these call by value and call by references? When you have an inline code, the execution will be faster because the number of codes will be less and hence what happens, the execution will be faster. But when in call by value and call by reference, what happens, the execution, I don't say the execution is very slow, I would say the execution is slow when compared to the inline statements. So that is the major advantage of the inline statement, I would say. And these inline statements are very well used in higher languages like Java and Python and not much in the C++. Understood? So basically, did you understand what is the difference between the call by value, call by reference and the inline statements? These, if you know this, then your job becomes easy. Understood this much? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And we move with the example. Okay. So you know the very simple example wherein now this is a very, what I can say, a famous program in your C or C++ wherein you have to swap two numbers. Right? What you do, you have integer x and y and I want you people to swap two numbers and print the output before swap and print the output after swap using functions. The logic is very simple. You will take three variables. You will declare another variable wherein you make z as x, x as y, and y as z. And I want you to pass two numbers, that is integer first number and integer second number, and I want you to print the value first, later swap the numbers and print the value again. I want the number to be printed before swapping and the number to be printed after swapping. Let me help you out. So I have int z, which I make it as x, and again I make x is equals y and y equals z. So here the logic of the swapping is done, wherein you take int z and you are assigning the value of z x to z, and later you take y to x and z to y. This is understandable. Next, I want you to, so I want the two numbers which need to be passed. So int number 1, which is equal to, let me say it is 10. Int number 2, which is equal to 20. Okay. Now print the output. That is, I want the output before swap. So let me not call this as my function. Let me call it as swap numbers. Okay. So next what I did, so the logic is done. I'm very good with the logic. Then I have int wherein I declare two numbers. I want the number to be printed before swap. You people try along. Don't just wait for me to do and copy things later. And I want to leave a line, of course. So next, the layout will be, what is the number I have given? It is number 1 and number 2 and the new binary. Here till here. So very easy. Now I want you to call a function and pass two numbers and print half of the program I have written for you, which is very easy. I have done the things before swapping. So I want you to call the function swap numbers now and pass the parameters or the variables within that and get the output after swapping the numbers. So before swap, I have number 1 and number 2. In the same way, I want after swap, number 1 and number 2. Quick. Very simple. You have another 2 lines of codes to go with. 1 line of code and 2 print statements. The same print statements, you take it after swap. That's it. And a line of code to call the function. Any difficulty, people? So how to call a function? Very simple. What is the function here? It is swap names. Call it. And what are the variables you need to pass? your declared variables, that is number 1 and number 2. That's it. And count, see out. After swap, number 1 and number 2. Yes, someone came up with the code. Let me know if you're facing any difficulties and what is that. I have written almost 80% of the code here.
Ma'am, pasted, ma'am. But I have to 3 variables.
Okay. Well, who's this in MP, CC on before? Why do you need 3 variables? Like, if you use 3 variables, will the swapping happen? So basically, look at the logic here. So it's something like you have container A and container B. You have a container A wherein you have Sprite, and you have a container B wherein you have Coca-Cola. Now what do you want to do? You want to put the Sprite into container B and Coca-Cola into container A. So both the containers are filled. Can I exchange the juice what is there inside both the containers? No, right? So what I'll do, I'll take another container which is known as Z. So basically X is having Sprite, let me assume, and Y is having Coca-Cola, let me assume. And I have a container Z which is empty. So what I'll do, just look here. In X I have Sprite. Container Z is empty. I put the Sprite in container Z to container X to Z. Now I have X empty. I have Coca-Cola in Y. I put this Coca-Cola which is present in Y to X. So basically what happened? Coca-Cola came to X. Now what should happen? Sprite should come to Y. Where do I have Sprite? I have Sprite in Z. So what do? I put the Sprite in Z to Y. So now Coca-Cola, Sprite which was in X is in Y. The Coca-Cola which was in Y is in X. Understood the logic? If you take all 3 glass which is filled, now you're taking Z also, which is filled by Maza. And you want to swap X and Y. You don't have a container only. The empty container itself you don't have. How can you do that? So that is not possible. So that's the logic wherein I'm using an empty container which is Z, wherein I'm using it to exchange the contents between X and Y. Did you understand this logic?
Yes, ma'am.
No doubts in that?
No, ma'am.
So that doesn't work because you are having all the 3 containers filled. So now what is the function what I have called? That is swap numbers. So I'll call that function, and what I want to pass, number 1 and number 2. Right? Number 1 and number 2. And again I want to see out. Let me copy paste this. So this is clear, very simple. So if you understand this logic, I have X and Y, and I have the logic here in order to swap the 2 numbers. And later I'm declaring the integer first number, the integer second number. Before swap, I'm trying to display the numbers, and now I'm calling the function which is swapping 2 numbers. That what are the numbers I'm declaring? It is number 1 and number 2. And later, after swapping, I'm printing the number 1 and 2. Firstly, before swap, it was 10 and 20. A was holding 10 and B was holding 20. And after swap, it is 20 and 10. Are the numbers swapped? Yes or no? Okay, this is the program you used for swapping of 2 numbers. Please take down the program. And this is written by call by reference. And the previous steps what we did was calling by var. Take down the program.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Any doubts until here?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Clear? If you have any doubts, go through. If you have your textbooks and you have example programs in that, take down them and go through the online compiler and try running those programs. And you can even do your addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of numbers also. Try on those program also. Let's stop it here. And if you have any doubts, you can just ask me in the next class as well. Is that fine?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the session.
That's
So
okay.
we
Ma'am.
are having the session on Monday, morning or afternoon, ma'am?
Ma'am, I'll let you know.
Okay, okay. Okay, ma'am, then.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.